Welcome to day 21 of the Take Back Your Power course. If you're new here, then if you look at my playlist, there's a playlist called Take Back Your Power, and you'll find every single exercise and daily lesson in there from day 1 leading right up to today, which is day 21. Yeah, day 21. Yeah. So you can start your course today. Excuse my hair, I don't know what it's doing. You can start the course today, or you can start it another day. It's completely up to you. And those of you who are not so new here, so I've got a bit of brain fog, so I get brain foggy. For those of you who are not so new here and you've been here before, welcome back. It's good to have you here. Okay, so today is day 21, and the exercise today is tackle anxious predictions. So this is tackling anxious predictions, and this is day 21. So this is very similar to the catastrophic thinking that we did on, which day was that? That was day 19, I think. Yeah, day 19, we did catastrophic thinking, and today is day 21, and we're doing tackling anxious predictions. So it's very similar, very similar. So I'll sort of explain this exercise as we go along. All you need to do is have your self-healing journal, your Take Your Power Back journal in front of you, and write down these 13 questions. Don't worry if I say them too quickly, because we'll be going through them slowly during this exercise. So you'll get a chance to really know which each question is. I'm just going to say it quickly now, but there will be a chance. So question 1 is trigger/situation. Question 2, thoughts, anxious predictions. Question 3, body sensations. Question 4, emotions. Question 5, why do you feel this way? Question 6, alternative perspective. Question 7, how has your perception changed after alternative perspective? And question 8, how do you feel now? Question now. Question 9, how can you resolve or de-stress from trigger or situation? Question 10, what was the result? Question 11, how do you feel now? Question 12, what do you feel triggered the anxious prediction? And question 13, how are you going to prevent this from happening again? So these are the 13 questions that we're going to be focusing on, and that would be good questions to have in your journal that you can always refer back to. And like I said, don't worry if you didn't get a chance to write all those questions down, because I'll be saying them slowly in a moment, so you'll definitely be able to know what each one is. But anytime you have any anxious predictions, this is a very good exercise to go back to and ask yourself these specific questions, no matter what anxious prediction you're having. And that way you can really tackle it. And what an anxious prediction is when you predict the worst. You really predict the worst. So it's almost like because of out of anxiety. So the case that we're going to be looking at is, say you need to ask a friend called Katie, for a lift to work. You can't get to work, your car's having its MOT done, for example, so you won't have a car, and you need to ask your friend Katie, would she mind giving you a lift to work? So it's just an example. And this could be someone who has real anxious predictions. And so asking Katie for a lift to work is like, whoa, this is scary. This is not cool. I'm not going to look forward to doing this. So this person will be thinking like, it's really embarrassing. If I had to ask her, it'd be really embarrassing. What if she says no? What if I'm late for work? And these anxious predictions, they build. So it starts off small. So you think, starts off small. So be like, what if Katie says no? If Katie says no, then I'll be late for work. Then my boss will be angry. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it's so unrealistic. My boss is going to fire me. Oh, and it's just, it's like, it's very similar to catastrophic thinking. They tie in quite, that's why I've done this one quite soon after the catastrophic thinking. They're quite linked and tied. It's like it builds and builds and builds, and you predict the worst, the very worst that could happen. That's anxious predictions, and that's what we're going to tackle. So anytime you have very anxious thoughts and you feel yourself building up, being more and more anxious, your thoughts getting a bit hectic, a bit out of control, look at these questions that you write down in your take your power back journal, and ask yourself these questions. You could do this as many times for many different situations. This will help you to work through it. So let's do this example. So for this case, we have a friend called Katie, and we needed to ask Katie for a lift for work. And now we're suffering from anxious predictions. So we need to look. Number one, trigger, situation. What is the trigger? What triggered the anxious predictions? What was the situation? What was the trigger? That's number one. So in this case, we'll say, right, number one, the trigger or the situation is that I need to ask Katie for a lift to work. That is what the trigger is. I need to ask Katie for a lift to work. So that's the situation or the trigger. Number two, thoughts and anxious predictions. What are your thoughts? What thoughts come to you? Your initial first thoughts about the situation, and what anxious predictions do you have? So, it's embarrassing. You say, it's embarrassing. What if she says no? I know she will say no. I just know it. Yes, she's going to say no. I'll have no way of getting to work. My boss will be furious. He'll probably make me work all weekend to make back the hours. If he makes me work all weekend, I'll miss my friend Kathy's wedding. Kathy will never forgive me. Then my boss and Kathy will both be angry at me. They'll hate me. My boss will fire me. So do you see how it starts off small? And you overthink and over worry, and stuff. Then you're making these predictions. Well, I predict this is going to happen. No, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Oh my God. And that is a clear sign of anxious predictions. So that is number two, the thoughts, your anxious predictions. You're writing down like, oh my God, this is going to happen. What am I going to do? So number three, body sensations. Take note of your body. What's your body feeling at this time? You can say, wow, my muscles are so tense. I can't breathe. I'm having hot flashes. I feel hot. I can't breathe. My jaw and my bones feel stiff and sore. My hands are sweating. I can't stop sweating. My heart is pounding. I can feel it against my chest. I have pins and needles everywhere. Everywhere. I'm feeling panicky. I'm feeling dizzy. So you write down what your body sensations are, because these are your trigger warnings. Those body sensations are letting you know, okay, look, you're having a bit of a panic attack here. You're having a bit of an anxious moment. You need to take a step back. You need to breathe. So you've got to take note of these body sensations. So number four, your emotions. So emotions. I feel anxious. I feel so anxious. I feel panicky. I feel overstressed. I feel burdened. I feel tearful. I'm fearful. I'm very fearful. I'm embarrassed. I feel worthless. My confidence has just plummeted. I feel so low in confidence. And so you're writing down how you're feeling. And then you go to number five. Number five, why do you feel this way? Why? Why do you feel this way? Why? What's causing it? What's causing those emotions? You could say, well, for this case, and be like, because I know Katie will say no to the lift. I just know it. I'm stressed and I won't be able to get to work. So that is why I'm feeling this way. So you write down why you're feeling in that particular way for that particular situation. And then you could look at like number 6, alternative perspective. So this is where it's almost like you say, right, I've got all these emotions that are like I'm having a war. There's a battle. There's a war inside of me. I'm going to take these emotions and I'm going to leave them there. And the thoughts, all these thoughts are like battle, battle, battle in my head. I'm taking those thoughts and I'm putting them there with those emotions. And I'm saying, right, I'm putting you guys there. I'm taking a step back and I'm going to look at things from an outsider's perspective. It's almost from a bird's eye view. You're pulling yourself away from your emotions, from your thoughts, so that you can see things from a different perspective. Then try and think of alternatives. What could be a different perspective, basically? How else could you look at this situation? This particular situation, the situation is you need to ask Katie for a lift to work. That's the underlining situation. What's triggered you? What's the very worst that can happen? What's the very worst that can, in reality, looking at it logically, from a logical viewpoint, remember you've taken yourself, you've detached yourself from your emotions and your thoughts, and you're looking from this from an outside perspective, from a bird's eye point of view. What's a different way of looking at it? So you could say, well, what reason do I have to believe that Katie would say no? Why do I even think she's going to say no? I'm predicting that she's going to say no before I've even asked her. That doesn't make sense. Why am I getting so stressed? Because I haven't even asked her yet, but already in my mind, I'm saying she's going to say no. Why? She may say yes. She may say yes and everything will be completely okay. It'll be completely fine. And if she does say no, then it's not the end of the world. It really is not the end of the world. I'll find another way to get to work. I could ask one of my other friends. I could ask my parents if they wouldn't mind giving me a lift. I could take the bus or the train. I could walk. It's not that far. I could just get up earlier. It might be quite nice having a morning walk. Yeah. At least I'll have time tonight. At least I'll have the time I need tonight to plan. So if I do ring Katie and she says no, then I've got tonight to plan and make another plan, make an alternative plan. It's not like it's the end of the world. And I can look at my other options. And my boss is not going to fire me. Why would he fire me for being a few hours late? If I'm a bit late for work, I'll just make up the hours. He's not going to make me work all weekend. Why do I get so stressed over it? You see, so it's like trying to look at things from a different perspective, trying to be a bit more logical. Sorry, the colour's getting a bit darker, but it's getting a bit later at night. You can hear my hamster, Mr. Henry, in the background. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just taking that time out to look at things and see things from a different perspective. And that's from detaching yourself from those nagging emotions and feelings. When you get up in your head and up in your heart and your emotions, then all hell breaks loose. Breaks loose, believe me. It just like... So you need to detach from that. You need to detach from that so you can start seeing things clearly and seeing things from a different perspective. So that was question number 6, alternative perspective. Number 7, how has your perception changed after doing the alternative perspective? So how has it changed? I'm looking at other options. I realize I'm really stressing. I'm really stressing before even asking her. I'm presuming the worst before I've even asked. And yeah, there are other ways of getting to work. I'm really blowing this whole situation out of proportion. It's making me realize I need to get much more of a grip on my thoughts and not let my thoughts and my emotions take over. It's healthy to take a step back and look at things from a different perspective. Okay, then we go on to number 9. How can you resolve or de-stress? Oh yeah, how has your perception changed after this? Then it goes to number 9, which is, no, number 8. How do you feel now? Sorry, it's getting a bit dark. How do you feel now? I feel a lot better. I'm feeling more relaxed. I'm not feeling so stressed. I feel a wee bit sheepish, but I'm glad. It's a lesson learned. I'm learning. So yeah, I'm feeling better myself. Okay, so now we move on to question number noun. It's because I've got fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. It's kicking in. Number 9, how can you resolve or de-stress from the trigger, the situation? So you can say, well, when I get stressed and I have these anxious predictions, I need to just take a step back. I really do. I need to take a step back, detach myself from my overwhelming thoughts, my overwhelming emotions, and see things from a different perspective. See things from an outsider's point of view. Look at things from all different angles. Try and be a bit more logical. Not let my overwhelming thoughts and my overwhelming emotions dictate what's going on. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. That is how I'm going to, how I'm going to resolve this. I'm going to turn the light on because I can't see my writing. Sorry about that. It just suddenly got really dark really quickly. I just suddenly thought, I can't see. And so I'm trying to do the exercise with you. And I'm looking at it, I can't see what I wrote in my notes. So, yeah. Okay. So, number 9. Yeah, so that's how you're going to resolve it in the future. You're going to look at it from a different perspective and think, right, okay, the different perspective is, in future, I'm going to take that step back. I'm going to look things at a different perspective. That is how I'm going to resolve things in the future. Instead of getting so up in my head, letting my thoughts overtake and run everything, I'm going to take that step back, and that's how I'm going to resolve this. So number 10, what was the result? What was the result? And you could also say there for number 9, what I'm going to do is I could actually ring up Katie. I'm going to ask her and see what she says. And if she says no, then I'm going to look at a different way. I'm going to find an alternative way of getting to work. So number 10, what was the result? What was the result once you spoke to Katie? So you can say, wow, the result was I rang Katie and I asked her, would she mind? And she actually said to me, yeah, that's fine, I don't mind. She was more than happy to help me out. Oh, so I had all that stress, all that anxiety for what? I feel so relieved, and I'm so grateful that Katie has said yes, she's happy to give me a lift. I'm really grateful for that. So yeah, she was completely fine with it. She says that's no problem, and she'll pick me up tomorrow in time for work on her way to work. So yeah, it all worked out fine. And if Katie for one reason or the other couldn't, then you could say, well, Katie couldn't, but that's okay. I have a few options now. I've listed my options, other alternatives of what I can do. So I'm not worrying. I'm not stressing. I'm going to get to work in time. I know I am. So you can stop and change it. Okay. Number 11. How do you feel now? So once you've done that, how do you feel? How do you feel? So you can say, number 11, how do you feel? I feel relief. I feel relief. I feel good. I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking, why did I over worry? Why did I get so much up in my head? Why did I let my emotions and my thought take over? I should have just asked Katie and not worried about it. But I've learned a lesson, and I know how to do things differently next time. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a lot better in myself. I'm not feeling as stressed or as anxious as I was. Number 12, what do you feel triggered the anxious predictions? What do you feel triggered? So this person or you could think in this situation, you could say, well, I really don't like asking people for anything. I'm one of those people, I don't like to ask for anything. I like to be sufficient. I only ask for help or ask for something if I really, really have to. And so the thought of having to ask someone for help, it just triggered me. I just thought, oh no, I don't usually ask people for help. This is not something I do. I like to do it myself. So yeah, that made me a bit anxious. That could be what triggered this particular anxious prediction, but it could be whatever it is in a different situation. And the final question, how are you going to prevent this from happening again? How are you going to prevent this from happening again? Well, in future, as soon as I get those anxious predictions coming in, as soon as I get triggered, I feel those body sensations, I feel those emotions, because I recognize them now. I've written them down. I'm recognizing what they are. As soon as I feel them, as soon as I get triggered, I'm going to instantly take a step back, breathe. Don't have to do the hands, I'm just doing that. Count to 10, and then I'm going to try and detach myself from those anxious thoughts, those anxious predictions, from those emotions. I'm going to pull myself away from that, and I'm going to try and look at things from a different perspective. This is how I'm going to prevent this from happening again. This is how I'm going to tackle it in the future. As soon as I feel the sensations that I'm having these anxious thoughts, I'm having these anxious predictions, as soon as I feel myself being triggered, I'm going to act accordingly, because I recognize now the body sensations that I get when this happens. I recognize the emotional sensations I get. I'm realizing when it's happening because I've done this exercise. So in future, when that happens, I know what to do, and I'll pull myself away. I'll detach from that, and I'll start looking at different perspectives. I'll go back to my self-healing journal, my Take Back Your Power journal, and I'll ask myself these 13 questions. 1, trigger, situation. 2, thoughts, the anxious predictions. 3, body sensations. 4, emotions. 5, why do you feel this way? 6, alternative perspective. 7, how has your perception changed after doing the alternative perception? 8, how do you feel now? 9, how can you resolve or de-stress from the trigger or the situation? Number 10, what was the result? Number 11, how do you feel now? Number 12, what do you feel triggered this anxious thought, this anxious predictions? And number 13, how are you going to prevent this from happening again? So I'll go back, I'll ask these questions, and I'm going to work through this because I know that'll help me to feel better. And that is how I'm going to prevent this from happening again. So that was the exercise. So anytime you can go back and do this at any point with any situation that comes along, anytime you find yourself having anxious predictions, and hopefully this will help you feel a lot better. So I hope you found this to be helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. And I hope that you have a fantastic weekend. Please do like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell button. I'd really and truly appreciate it. And until next time, bye.